Well, with some new towers in the game getting some skins, namely the Pursuit getting the Eggy Pursuit skin, and the Gatling Gun getting the Easter Gatling Gun skin, it means that all Evergreen towers in Tower Defense Simulator now have a proper skin. I say proper skin because we'll get to that later, that's a sticking point. However, not all towers in the game do have a skin. Now, obviously, the two main exclusive towers, which are known to be public, as in public knowledge. I mean, there are some exclusive towers which technically aren't meant to be public knowledge, but the developers will probably kill me if I talk about it in this video, that being the War Machine and the Mecha Base. They don't have skins, and no skins have ever been planned for them, at least on the developer side of things. I'll have to check skin submissions to see if any skins were planned for these, but I don't think any skins are actually planned for the Mecha Base or the War Machine. And in my mind, the only skin that could ever be placed for the Mecha Base, for example, would be like the original XR series of skins, not the Mark series of skins as the default. And as for the War Machine, who bloody knows what comes out of the War Machine at this point. It was said to be released like 2-3 years ago, still not. However, there are some exclusive event towers which do not have skins. Now, it's not necessarily the case where new event towers do not have skins. So, for example, the Harvester, quite recent addition, does have 2 skins, and even the Biologist Tower does have a new skin, that being the Grim Biologist. However, not all towers, event towers, have skins, most notably the Elf Camp. Now, it says it has skins, yes, there's a skin button here. However, we've established that this skin button is only because there is a glitch in the game's database where the Electroshocker skins, the first Electroshocker skins to be added for the Electroshocker, namely the Bunny Electroshocker, the Hazmat Electroshocker, and I believe the Valentine's Electroshocker, they are for some reason ported over to the Elf Camp, and so the Elf Camp has Valentine's, Bunny, and Hazmat skins for the Elf Camp, which do not exist. Obviously, they don't exist for the Elf Camp. However, since they technically do exist in the game's code, that's the reason why there's a skins option here. We don't know how it happened. I think the developers may have just copy and pasted some code from the lobby to the Elf Camp. But if you try and equip these skins, you can actually grant them your skins if you're like an admin. Nothing will happen. It will just break the Elf Camp. Because, like I said, the Elf Camp does not have any proper skins. There are no models for a Hazmat Elf Camp, Bunny Elf Camp skin. There is in the game's code, yes, but there's no model for it, so it'll just break. But how does this even came to be? Well, it's because the Electroshocker, I think alphabetically, is very close to the Elf Camp. I think it goes Electroshocker Elf Camp, and for some reason, when copying and pasting the Electroshocker's skins, they for some reason added the first 3 skins for the Elf Camp, well, for the Electroshocker, to the Elf Camp, because I believe it's ordered by edition date, and because those are the first 3 skins for the Electroshocker, they somehow became the skins for the Elf Camp, even though the Elf Camp does not have any skins. Now, next is the Snowballer, and yeah, the Snowballer, to be fair, I don't really know what skin a Snowballer can get. Someone pointed out to me that all of the ice skins in the game, namely the Frostblaster, Chiromancer, Elementalist, Snowballer, and the Freezer, they all kind of have similar like designs and everything, and similar color schemes, to the point where they all look kind of unoriginal. And I guess I kind of see it. They all use blue as a theme, purely because that's what ice is, and that's what freezing is. Sure, it would be kind of cool to see these change into like a different color, like, I don't know, having the Freeze have like a complete red outfit while also freezing enemies, but that's the developer's interpretation of what ice is. I don't think they're going to change it anyway. But that being said, the Snowballer does have a red bag. Yeah, Snowballer, unique, very cool. In all seriousness, I don't think if there's going to be a skin for the Snowballer, it'll be like some weird-ass skin, given the fact that it's only 3 levels and a basic tower at that. Then again, though, the other basic tower in the other event, the Halopunk, did get the Lunar Halopunk skin. However, that was associated with the Halopunk also being resold, and the Snowballer, I don't think is that much of a... I mean, it's a popular tower to meme on, yes, but I don't think it's a popular tower to buy. Like, I think the Halopunk has some potential uses for lower level players. The Snowballer? Nah, I don't... let's be real, nobody's using the Snowballer for DPS, or early game, or anything for that matter. Therefore, I think the demand for a skin is going to be quite low. Unless the developers market it well. Like, they could market a exclusive Snowballer code skin, and it's like, listen, you can get this coded skin. However, the Snowballer, you can also buy it for like 299 Robux or whatever it is. But also the fact that the Snowballer, I think, was quite easy to get in comparison to the Halopunk. Like the Snowballer, you only need to beat 1 map in easy mode, whereas for the Halopunk, you need to beat 3 maps in easy mode. So a lot of people have the Snowballer in comparison to the Halopunk. So any skin for the Snowballer, a lot of people are going to get. If it's, I don't, because the thing with skins is that for event towers, they kind of are in exclusive crates or limited time crates. Like for the Harvester, the Wasteland Harvester, that's a limited time quest. The Lunar Harvester, that's a limited time crate. Jester skins, so these two, they're limited time crate skins, even though the coin crate is still available. The Heartbreak Jester, that's limited time. And the Clown Jester, I believe, is in the Deluxe crate or the Premium crate, I don't remember. Commando Exception, like this is from the quest and this is from the Pirate crate. The Executioner, this was like a weird limited time skin that you could only get from a Game Pass or previously, if you actually got it previously, like before 2022 or whatever. This was from the, I believe, the Hexcape event? No, the Valentine's, one of the exclusive seasons. Whereas this one, the Vanquisher Executioner, that's a limited time 4th of May skin, which actually never returned this year. So I don't really see an event skin for the Snowballer, let's be real. And the same can be true for the Elementalist. I think the Elementalist is so unique in terms of its design that making a skin for the Elementalist is going to be quite difficult. And ironically enough, the first 3 skins, or first 3 towers in the game that don't have a skin are all Christmas related skins. The next one isn't, so the Executioner does have a skin, so does the Sledger. The next one across doesn't, it's the Swarmer. Now, I can easily see a classic type skin being made for the Swarmer, having like a white outfit instead of the beige outfit it has here. I mean, I don't know how popular such a classic skin is going to have, but I think, given the fact that Swarmer is it's still seen as like kind of OP, well, not really OP, but still part of the meta, I think a classic skin in, say, like a Deluxe crate, probably not the Deluxe crate in terms of design, Premium crate in terms of design, but let's be real, the developers are probably going to put in the Deluxe crate. I think such a skin probably would do quite well. Now, the Halopunk does have a skin, the Chiromancer also does have a skin, the Krampus Slayer Chiromancer, but that's from a gift. The Gladiator has many skins, the Toxic Gunner does have one skin, that being the Phantom Toxic Gunner. The Firework Technician, however, doesn't have a skin. Now, I can easily see a skin being incorporated for this, namely a 4th of July skin. Now, imagine this being a patriotic American, and I'm not going to envision that because Americans, they're getting a bad rep nowadays. Perhaps for good reason. However, yes, I think there's skin opportunities for the Firework Technician, especially on the American side of things. The Slasher has some skins already, and next across is the Frost Blaster. Yes, this is the last tower in the game not to have a skin. So of the 6 skins in the game, 4 of them are Christmas related, which shows how little potential there is for Christmas skins or freezing skins in general in the game to actually have an actual skin. I mean, again, similar to the Swarmer, can a classic skin for the Frost Blaster work, really? Because I don't think the classic skin, or the original skin for the Frost Blaster, is seen as iconic as it was for the Swarmer, given the fact that the Frost Blaster was never used as extensively as the Swarmer. In my mind, the Swarmer had notoriety because it was such a glitchy tower. The Frost Blaster, it just existed. I don't really think many people know of what the default skin previously that the Frost Blaster looked like before the rework. It was light blue, by the way, and I don't think it's that iconic compared to the classic Swarmer skin. But then what skin that the Frost Blaster can get anyway, because there's no skin that I can really think of that doesn't really fit the Frost Blaster, because any skins that fit the Frost Blaster probably fit the Freezer. I think the Freezer is a more popular option to make skins for, given the fact that it's an evergreen tower that you can buy. Like, sure, you could probably make a skin alongside the Frost Blaster Game Pass when that's released, but do people really want the Frost Blaster Game Pass? Is that really in demand? I don't think so. So, when it comes to the Frost Blaster, I don't think there's going to be a skin for it in the near future. But those are the 6 towers in Tower Defense Simulator that do not have skins. Now, some skin ideas have been made for these towers. So, most notably for the Elf Camp, I believe there is the Ducky Elf Camp skin submission, which wasn't used for this year's Ducky Game Pass. Battle Pass, sorry. Well, probably because it was an event tower, and typically, event towers don't get their own thing in the Battle Pass. That's quite a challenge to do. They normally have it like as a code or have it at like a quest. Meanwhile, as for something like the Snowballer is really seen as a skin itself, if for the past for something like the Paintballer, as seen here. But the last skin submission for this was in 2019, as you can see here. Quite frankly, this doesn't look too bad, but again, I don't really see the Snowballer. I mean, if the Snowballer were to get a skin, okay, maybe just use this, you know, just like a basic yellow skin. But other than that, no skin submission for the Snowballer. It is a new tower though, so I also don't expect any skin submission for the Elementalist. And that's true, there is no skin submission for the Elementalist. As for the Swarmer, there actually has been some recent skin submissions for it in 2024. However, this was before the Swarmer rework, meaning that yes, the Swarmer rework didn't actually change too much mechanically about it. It still like shoots out honey. And actually, this skin probably looks like it could incorporate this design into the modern skin. However, how are you going to incorporate the Stinger Swarmer into the game? Like, how would you get the Stinger Swarmer? I would probably say through a quest. Then you got the Alchemist Swarmer, which I have talked about previously, where this looks like a sonic screwdriver rather than a wand of some kind. Then you got the SCI Swarmer, which looks like a sci-fi Swarmer skin. Fair enough. And like the bee gun kind of looks cool, but I don't know how it'll work for like just hand throwing. Next, Honey Bear. I mean, again, it doesn't look too out of place of modern TDS. But these are skin submissions, so developers would have to update it. Then you got the Glitch Swarmer, which looks like this, and you're throwing USBs. Well, USB sticks and a Swarmer gun that looks like this. Okay, fair enough. Then you got the Nano Shooter, which is surely it's 2020. Yeah, it's from 2020. So it looks sci-fi-y, but ultimately out of date. But I think out of all the towers that don't have skins, the Swarmer does have the most potential, given its skins concept submissions. But again, though, that probably is because the Swarmer is the oldest tower in the game. Not actually, that's a lie. The Frost Blaster. The Frost Blaster is older than the Swarmer. Yeah, I can bet the Frost Blaster does not have as many skin concept submissions as the Swarmer. No, the Frost Blaster only has 3, one of them being a skin for the minigunner. So actually, this does not count. So actually, there's only been 2 skin submissions for the Frost Blaster. First being called Ice Age / Frost Cyber, which looks like this, kind of janky with its arms, but this is the first skin submission for the Frost Blaster. And as you can see, rifle, gun. Does it suit the Frost Blaster? I actually don't know. I've actually forgotten. Its backpack, yeah, also kind of blocksy and basic, yeah. Not a really great skin, I can't lie. And wait, what? There was a skin policy previously saying skeletons, bones and heads are also strictly prohibited, don't ask why. Yeah, I think that was violated. You can't lie. Meanwhile, the only recent submission for a Frost Blaster skin is called the Cyborg skin. And actually, this skin looks kind of alright. Not too sure if the rifles here befit the current Swarmer's arsenal nowadays, given the fact that its basic level is just a Frost Stun whatever gun. And it gets the rifle later on, so it needs to have like a smaller gun initially to use. So yeah, developers would need to invent one. Again, these are skin submissions, not totally going to be used for the game. But hey, you know what? Better than nothing. And as for the last tower, the Fireworks Technician, I'm going to bet there is no skin submission for this, given the fact that it's just a recent tower. And I was right, because the only skin submission for this was called the Firework, and that's actually for the Mortar Tower. So speaking of Elf Camp, the previous skin submissions for the Elf Camp included the Pirate Elf Camp, which looked like this, the Citizen Elf Camp, which looks like this, and was inspired by the citizens in Triple Threat Town, and obviously, I've talked about this in the past, the Bucky Elf Camp, which looks like this, or well, it did before Imager just broke, but you still can see some sort of stuff like. But those are all of the towers in the game, in Tower Defense Simulator, that don't have a skin. Only 6. And 8 if you were really pushing it for the exclusive towers. 51 out of 51. Only 6 of those don't have skin, so you're just looking at barely above 10%. I think that's kind of okay. As for the War Machine does actually have some skin submissions from 2021. So on the July 2021, the War Machine has something called the Caster skin, which looks like I can't lie, it looks like the Wizard Accelerator more than a War Machine skin. I don't think this is a War Machine skin at all. I think this is an Accelerator skin, more like. And the next one across is just a default reimagined War Machine skin. Now, the War Machine skin, its default skin, is actually currently outdated. So you know what? Fair enough. But this, I kind of actually like. For a default skin, this looks pretty cool. Developers, right? I know you want to update the War Machine model and have it incorporated into Tower Defense Simulator actual arsenal. There's another tower in like the hardcore section. Use this exoskeleton. This looks pretty cool. And it's like, it has riffs of the default skin, but it still looks kind of modern for Tower Defense Simulator. I totally just like, I like it. It's pretty cool. You know, as for the mecha base, this doesn't count. Why does this come up? Oh, it says mecha base here. Because the next day along, this developer at the time, I think, what's the name? Mr. Hello. I actually forgot why they're a developer. They'll probably have to let me know why they're a developer. Kind of ironic that they're making skin submissions, and this is the only skin submission for the mecha base, which in 29th of January 2020, so that's the day after my birthday. I think the mecha base was only recently just leaked to the public here, and I can't lie, this is more of a potential military-based skin rather than a mecha-based skin. I get the vibes, but obviously, with the mecha base moving over to marks rather than XR units, this doesn't really suit the mecha base anymore. And actually, its name, Apocalypse Mecha Base, or Apocalypse Skin, that's already kind of been used up by the Apocalypse Military Base, which has turned out to be the Wasteland Military Base. So no, unfortunately, we can't see this Mecha Base skin in the game.